Live from New Delhi, watching Need India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. PM Modi becomes India's longest continuously serving elected Prime Minister, completes 4,399 days in office. Cabinet hails historic milestone. NDA leaders felicitate PM Modi, hailing his role in advancing infrastructure, welfare, digital governance and India's global standing. World leaders including Ursula von der Leyen, Giorgia Meloni, Anwar Ibrahim and Anura Kumara Dissanayake congratulate PM Modi on the historic milestone. US President Donald Trump warns of new strikes on Iran over delayed deal, threatens fresh attacks on Iran's infrastructure, global stocks fall, oil prices edge up. Prime Minister Narendra Modi becomes the country's longest continuously serving elected Premier, marking 12 years at the helm of the central government. A journey dedicated to trust, development and public welfare. A meeting of the NDA to celebrate its government completing 12 years and Prime Minister Modi becoming the longest continuously serving elected PM of India is being held in the national capital today. All constituents of the alliance besides the top leadership of the BJP, including Prime Minister Modi, attended the meeting. The NDA meeting is also being attended by Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers of all 22 NDA governed states and union territories, besides the leaders of all alliance constituents. BJP President Nitin Nabin, TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu, JDU Leader Sanjay Jha, Shiv Sena Chief Eknath Shinde, LJP Leader Chirag Paswan, NCP Leader Sunetra Pawar, JSP Leader Pawan Kalyan, HAM Leader Jitan Ram Manjhi, JDS Leader HD Kumaraswamy and RLD Leader Jayant Chaudhary are attending the meeting, among others. The meeting is taking a look at various national development programs, infrastructure programs and the Modi government's vision to transform the nation into a developed country by 2047. Alright, so these are the visuals that we are showing you of the NDA meeting to celebrate the government completing 12 years and Prime Minister Modi becoming the longest continuously serving elected Prime Minister of India. The event is being held in the national capital. India leaders laud Prime Minister Narendra Modi's landmark achievement. All constituents of the alliance, besides the top leadership of the BJP, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they are attending the meeting. NDA meeting being attended by Chief Ministers and Deputy Chief Ministers of 22 NDA governed states and the union territories. And the Cabinet has passed a resolution applauding Prime Minister Modi for becoming the longest serving elected Prime Minister for consecutive terms. The members of the Cabinet also gave a standing ovation to Prime Minister Modi. Today, on June 10th, PM Modi has completed 4,399 continuous days in office. The historic feat reflects a journey of governance, transformation and India's rising influence on the global stage. PM Modi has surpassed Jawaharlal Nehru's record, but this milestone is not merely about longevity in office. It is the story of a vision that evolved from state-level governance to national transformation and from national leadership to global influence.
10 जून 2026 का दिन भारतीय लोकतंत्र की यात्रा में एक ऐतिहासिक और प्रेरणादायी पड़ाव के रूप में अंकित हुआ है। आज श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी निर्वाचित प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में सर्वाधिक अवधि तक निरंतर देश की सेवा करने वाले प्रधानमंत्री बन गए हैं। उन्होंने निर्वाचित पीएम के तौर पर 4,399 डेज की निरंतर सेवा का कीर्तिमान स्थापित किया है, जो स्वतंत्र भारत के इतिहास में पहली बार हुआ है।
India's Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, praised the governance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The minister said that under the visionary leadership of PM Modi, India rose to a position where the world looks towards the nation with hopes.
People are looking towards India as the country where democracy has old roots. It's the mother of democracy, and where a robust democracy is delivering good governance, development, and taking India surely towards the path of Viksit Bharat as a result of the policies which the Honorable Prime Minister has followed.
And the historic feat reflects a journey of governance, transformation and India's rising influence on the global stage. Here's more.
History is not written every day, but some dates leave an imprint on the destiny of a nation. June 10th, 2026 is one such day. A day where a leader who began his journey from the grassroots rose through public service and earned the trust of millions across 3 consecutive general elections, reaches a landmark unmatched in India's democratic history. Prime Minister Narendra Modi becomes India's longest serving elected Prime Minister, completing 4,399 continuous days in office and surpassing the record set by Jawaharlal Nehru. But this milestone is not merely about longevity in office. It is the story of a vision that evolved from state-level governance to national transformation and from national leadership to global influence.
Narendra Damodar Das Modi.
As Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi built a reputation for decisive governance, infrastructure-led growth, investment promotion, and efficient public service delivery. Initiatives focused on industrial development, power reforms, water management, and ease of doing business transformed Gujarat into one of India's fastest-growing states. These policies reflected a long-term vision that would later shape national governance. As Prime Minister, he carried that approach to the national stage. From Digital India, Make in India, Startup India, and direct benefit transfer to large-scale infrastructure expansion, reforms have focused on empowering citizens and accelerating growth. India today stands among the world's fastest-growing major economies and is emerging as a key player in sectors such as technology, innovation, manufacturing, semiconductors, and space. On the global stage, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has elevated India's profile like never before. India's successful G20 presidency, leadership on climate action, advocacy for the global south, and growing diplomatic influence have strengthened the country's voice in international affairs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has received 32 international awards and highest civilian honors from countries worldwide, making him the most decorated world leader. Today, India is viewed as a major force in shaping global conversation on economy, technology, security, and sustainable development. At home, welfare delivery has reached unprecedented scales. Millions have benefited from housing, sanitation, financial inclusion, healthcare, and food security initiatives. Technology-driven governance has enhanced transparency and efficiency. From a chief minister known for development-focused governance to a prime minister leading India through a transformative era, Narendra Modi's journey reflects continuity of a vision and execution. The milestone of becoming India's longest-serving elected Prime Minister is not merely a record. It is a chapter in the story of a nation striving for development, self-confidence, and a larger role on the global stage. Tripti Tripathi's report, DD India.
And congratulatory messages consistently pour in for Prime Minister Modi from world leaders on becoming India's longest continuously serving democratically elected Prime Minister. In a post on X, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also congratulated Prime Minister Modi and praised India's achievements under his leadership, including its successful lunar mission and growing global ambitions. Highlighting the strong partnership between India and the European Union, she said cooperation has expanded across technology, mobility, security, defence and trade, and thanked PM Modi for the progress achieved together. In a post on X, President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, congratulated PM Modi, calling India-EU ties stronger than ever under his leadership. Costa expressed confidence in further deepening cooperation, partnership and friendship between India and the European Union. US Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, congratulated Prime Minister Modi, describing the milestone as a powerful testament to his decades of dedicated public service and leadership. In a post on X, Prime Minister of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, congratulated PM Modi and said the achievement reflects the enduring confidence and trust the people of India have placed in PM Modi's leadership over 3 consecutive mandates. The former President of the Maldives, Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, congratulated PM Modi, describing the achievement as a truly historic milestone. In a post on X, he said this is a truly historic milestone that reflects the enduring trust and confidence of the people of India have placed in Prime Minister Modi as steward of their aspirations and ambitions. India's remarkable economic, social and political progress during his tenure stands as a testament to his leadership. An Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, congratulated Prime Minister Modi on becoming India's longest-serving elected Prime Minister. In a post on X, Prime Minister Meloni recalled her recent meeting with PM Modi in Rome and said the launch of India-Italy Special Strategic Partnership reflects a shared vision for the future. She said the partnership will create new opportunities for both countries and their people. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali also congratulated Prime Minister Modi, praising his leadership and vision. In a post on X, Abiy Ahmed said Prime Minister Modi's governance has driven economic progress, expanded digital infrastructure and strengthened the voice of the Global South. Former Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Tony Abbott also joined other global leaders in praising Prime Minister Modi's leadership. In the post on X, Morrison and Abbott highlighted PM Modi's role in boosting India's economy, expanding infrastructure and enhancing the country's global standing. They also underscored his contribution to strengthening India-Australia ties and advancing cooperation through the Quad. And highlighting the strong bilateral ties, President of Sri Lanka, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi on becoming the longest-serving elected Prime Minister in India's history. In a message shared on X on Wednesday, the President noted that Sri Lanka values close partnership with India and expressed confidence in further deepening cooperation across sectors. The message comes amid continued engagement between the two neighbours on economic recovery, connectivity and regional security, underlining the diplomatic warmth and the strategic importance of the bilateral ties. In addition, Sri Lanka India Society also has conveyed wishes to the Indian Prime Minister. The society has put up digital gantries expressing their congratulations to PM Modi at various locations in Colombo. The members of Sri Lanka India Society also shared congratulatory message for PM Modi.
Of the Sri Lanka India Society, I have great pleasure in congratulating Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, for his greatest achievement of being the long-serving elected Prime Minister of Republic of India.
Congratulating the Prime Minister for being the longest serving Prime Minister, elected Prime Minister of India. And we thank you for being there for Sri Lanka.
And Prime Minister of Malaysia Anwar Ibrahim has congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi on achieving the historic milestone of becoming India's longest serving elected Prime Minister. In a post on X, Malaysia's PM reflected PM Modi's dedicated public service and leadership in advancing India's development and global standing. He said Malaysia values its close and long-standing friendship with India, and I look forward to continuing our cooperation in strengthening bilateral ties and expanding opportunities for our peoples. And Bhutan's Prime Minister Shering Topkay also congratulated Prime Minister Modi on the milestone. In a post on X, Prime Minister Shering Topkay described Prime Minister Modi as a friend, elder brother and mentor, praising his leadership, work ethic and contribution to India's development and global standing. He also highlighted the strengthening of India-Bhutan relations under PM Modi's leadership, noting India's continued support for Bhutan's development goals, including the Galafu Mindfulness City project. Topkay said the relationship between the two countries is built on trust and mutual respect, and wished Prime Minister Modi continued success in serving India. In a post on X, Kenya's President William Samoei Ruto also hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, saying his political journey and years of public service have earned the confidence of millions of Indians. Ruto noted that Prime Minister Modi's rise from humble beginnings continues to inspire many and underscored Kenya's commitment to expanding cooperation with India across areas of mutual interest, while wishing him continued success. Mongolian President Okhnakin Khorelsukh also extended warm greetings to Prime Minister Modi, describing him as a dear friend of Mongolia and its people. In a post on X, President expressed his commitment to further strengthening Mongolia-India strategic partnership and deepening ties between the two countries. President of the Republic of Korea, Lee Jae-myung, has congratulated Prime Minister Modi on becoming the longest-serving PM in the world's largest democracy. In a post on X, Lee said, over a long period of time, PM Modi has driven India's growth, development and played an important role in elevating India's stature in the international community. Meanwhile, he looks forward to further developing Korea-India special strategic partnership. Time now for a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Violence engulfs Belfast following knife attack. UK PM Starmer urges calm and calls attack shocking. In a blow to European defence cooperation effort, Germany and France have scrapped a joint fighter jet project. Details after the break.
Across India, human-animal encounters have now become more frequent than ever. So maybe the wild isn't as far as we think.
The Brown Bear project was launched here in 2023. Its goal is to create harmony between bears and humans.
These are the musk roses. This ancient flower is emerging as a valuable crop in Uttarakhand. Rosewater offers farmers here a high-value alternative.
And here, 1 ton of biochar, which is obtained from around 8 trees, in the international carbon credit market, this can earn upwards of $300 for each ton of biochar.
The Tamil Nadu Tribal Welfare Department teamed up with the Indian Institute of Horticultural Research. Farmers receive free seeds, fertilizers and machinery, along with training in crop management.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. US President Donald Trump warned that Iran would have to pay the price for delay in negotiations. The statement comes amid exchange of strikes between both nations, with ongoing efforts to continue talks. Citing a phone interview, Fox News reported that US President said he may order new strikes on Iran's power plants and bridges because Tehran is taking too long to make a deal. Cities and towns across Pakistan-occupied Kashmir were brought to a standstill on Tuesday after violent clashes between security forces and a civil society alliance have left 30 people dead and more than 200 were injured. In Muzaffarabad, supporters of the Joint Awami Action Committee and anti-Pakistan government movement.
The Brown Bear project was launched here in 2023. Its goal is to create harmony between bears and humans.
These are the mask roses. This ancient flower is emerging as a valuable crop in Uttarakhand. Rosewater offers farmers here a high-value alternative.
And here, 1 ton of biochar, which is obtained from around 8 trees, in the international carbon credit market, this can earn upwards of $300 for each ton of biochar.
The Tamil Nadu Tribal Welfare Department teamed up with the Indian Institute of Horticultural Research. Farmers receive free seed.
As tensions in the region are once again reaching a breaking point. And Pakistan's military carried out fresh deadly strikes in 3 Afghan provinces in a renewal of a conflict that has killed hundreds this year. Afghan Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid said on Tuesday night that the Pakistan military once again violated Afghanistan's airspace and bombed civilian homes in the provinces of Kunar Khost and Paktika. The strikes killed at least 26 people and around 14 others injured, all of them children and women near the border. The strikes are the deadliest in weeks and follow a period of relative calm at the border after conflict between the two countries erupted in late February. According to the United Nations report published last month, at least 372 Afghan civilians were killed and 397 others wounded in that conflict in the first 3 months of this year. Now, China and Taiwan sparred on Wednesday over the legality of Chinese Coast Guard's patrols to the east of the island after the government in Taipei said merchant ships had been harassed close to its waters. China, which views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory, was angered after Japan and the Philippines said last month they would begin formal talks on their maritime boundaries, viewing that as involving waters of Taiwan. Taiwan said those ships had in recent days been harassing commercial shipping by asking them for information about their point of origin and destination and claiming jurisdiction. Meanwhile, Taiwan's military fired off its new battle-tested HIMARS rocket system on Wednesday, simulating attacking and invading Chinese force, showing its ability to shoot and scoot by avoiding counterstrikes and improving survivability in a war. Taiwan's government is modernizing its armed forces, adding new and more mobile weapons, but also making its training less predictable and more like the situation troops would face in actual combat. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Wednesday called Belfast violence shocking and completely unacceptable. Belfast witnessed large-scale violence on Tuesday night by mass protesters after a gruesome knife attack by a Sudanese man left one person with serious injuries. The protesters has targeted a particular section of people, burning homes, vehicles and attacked police. The knife attack follows repeated protests against immigration, saying Britain's asylum policy has given entry to dangerous men in the country. Now, Germany and France have scrapped a joint fighter jet project in a blow to European defence cooperation efforts. And joining us now with more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu in Berlin. Hi Chiponda, good to have you. What went wrong with the program?
The Future Combat Air System program, which was known as FCAS, was plagued by years of infighting and industrial dispute. And that is because French arms giant Dassault Aviation demanded significantly more control over the project than its industry partner, the European consortium Airbus Defence and Space. Now, the two companies clashed over access to intellectual property and also the different requirements for the aircraft. After years of dispute, the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and the French President Emmanuel Macron agreed to cancel FCAS. Now, the more than 100 billion euro FCAS project was actually launched nearly 10 years ago in 2017. It was once a symbol of unity for the militaries of both Germany and France, and it of course took on even more significance after Washington put pressure on Europe to do more for its defense needs.
Also, Chiponda, what does this mean for Europe's plans to boost its defense capabilities?
Well, this project failed not just because of the fights between the companies involved, it's also because Germany and France need very different arms as well. For instance, Germany doesn't need aircraft that can land on aircraft carriers and carry nuclear weapons. And that's because, unlike France, it doesn't have nuclear weapons. And so while there is some disappointment over the demise of FCAS, it is not the end of defense cooperation between the EU's two biggest economies. Germany and France may very well, of course, continue working together on drone technology and military communications. Also, in terms of what we could expect for that fighter jet program, well, we may be getting news on that in its future from the ILA Berlin Air Show, which begins today and runs until June 14th. Now, on Tuesday, the Financial Times and Reuters reported that Airbus is planning a German-led alliance to replace the FCAS fighter jet project. It will lead a group of 8 aerospace and defense companies that will work on developing a fighter jet that was, of course, initially planned with the French company Dassault Aviation.
Yes, also, Chimbunda, looking ahead, what can we expect from Europe's defense industry?
We can still, of course, expect more collaboration in Europe's defense industry despite the setback on this French-German project. And that is because European countries need to work together to ramp up their efforts to produce enough arms to defend themselves from the threat of Russia. Now, last year, Europe actually tripled its arms imports and accounted for 1/3 of the global market share, according to the latest figures from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Now, Europe's defense companies haven't been able to ramp up their production capacities fast enough to meet the growing demand on the continent. So they also need to collaborate more to be innovative and also to be more productive. And they are also being forced to work together. Now, last year, the European Commission launched the Rearm Europe program, which aims to mobilize around 800 billion euros over 4 years. And that money is only meant for European arms manufacturers and suppliers. So we can, of course, expect to see more European countries and companies collaborating in the defense industry.
All right, Chimbunda, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for inputs. Moving on. Representatives from BRICS member nations and invited countries who are participating in the Agriculture Working Group meeting in Indore visited the rural Haat Bazaar in the city on Wednesday. During the visit, the foreign delegates explored a wide range of products from different districts of Madhya Pradesh and learned about their unique features. The representatives also viewed products made in rural areas along with locally grown fruits and vegetables. They showed keen interest in the craftsmanship of local weavers and gathered information about traditional textiles and the techniques used to create them. The foreign guests received a warm welcome with a traditional tribal dance performance. Impressed by the vibrant cultural presentation, many delegates joined in the celebrations and danced with the performers. Some were seen taking selfies with the artists, while others captured the memorable moments on their phones and cameras. As part of a heritage walk, the delegates also visited the historic Rajwada Palace, where they experienced the rich cultural and historical heritage of the city.
The flavors of every fruit stall or food stall that we have is fantastic, and I enjoyed the Indian sweets which we get, and then the cotton and hemp and silk fibers are also very good quality, and I really appreciated especially on the silk, the different types of silk. It was very interesting, and we also have very good honey. So honey and nuts and honey and seeds and spice was very good.
Founding members of the BRICS. The fair today is showing the small farmers, the family farmers, showing their craft, mostly organic, mostly local. It's good inspiration for the future products. You have natural fibers, you've got grains, you've got food, you've got fruits. I think we are learning quite a lot, and we were talking about this at the BRICS meeting of the Agricultural Working Group.
मुझे भारत बहुत पसंद है। हमारा देश इथियोपिया और भारत के बीच में अच्छा रिश्ता है, तो ये रिश्ता आने वाले में स्ट्रेंथन करना चाहिए। अतिथि देवो भव, सच में भारत में सच में है, इसलिए अभी हिंदी सीख रहा हूँ। भारत में अलग अलग संस्कृति है, अलग अलग भाषा है, अलग अलग कहना है, लेकिन पूरा भारत में शांति है.
This is my very first time in India. Unfortunately, I'm going to stay only for a few days, but I have to come back to do sightseeing, to enjoy properly. And please let me make a special, like a word of thanks to the indoors people. They have been so welcoming, so receptive. So for us, it's a joy to be here. It's an honor and a joy.
And food security has emerged as one of the biggest challenges facing the world today. Rising populations, climate change, natural disasters and disruptions in global supply chains are affecting food security across nations. At such a time, the role of BRICS countries becomes extremely important. At the BRICS Agriculture Working Group meeting being held in Indore under India's chairmanship, food security has emerged as a key agenda.
Food security is not merely about producing sufficient food grains. It is about ensuring every person has access to safe, nutritious and affordable food at all times. However, the agricultural sector is currently facing multiple challenges. Climate change is rapidly altering weather patterns, with droughts in some regions and floods in others affecting agricultural production. In addition, global conflicts and trade uncertainties have disrupted food supply chains. This makes the role of BRICS nation even more significant. BRICS countries possess nearly 42% of the world's arable land, while around 68% of the world's small and marginal farmers live in these nations. They also contribute approximately 45% of the global food production. This is why the meeting being held in Indore is considered important not only for member countries but also for the future of the global food security.
The agriculture is very pivotal for the food, the importance of the health of the nation. And after the health, you talk about the wealth, because we also trade on commodities such as grains, such as fruit, such as animal products, meat and other things. So we are here discussing as these big countries in the global south that are now challenging those other countries in the West in terms of how do we make sure that the agenda of the developing countries, the South-South collaborations, make an impact and a voice in the global space.
Under India's chairmanship, the meeting is approaching food security from a broader perspective. India believes the solution of the food security lies not only in increasing production but also in making agriculture sustainable, technology-driven and farmer-centric. Representatives from BRICS countries have also praised India's efforts to empower small and marginal farmers, saying that these initiatives could serve as a model for other nations.
India is a good example of how small-scale farmers are doing well. There are a lot of farmers, they plant, cultivate, and are doing very well in terms of organic products, and they certainly will contribute not only in this area, in several other areas, but especially on that, because they have a very good care about their producers. Is a kind of example for all the world.
The BRICS Working Group meeting will continue until June 11, and it will be followed by BRICS Agriculture Ministers meeting in Indore on June 12 and 13. Alongside discussion on critical issues, foreign delegates are also being introduced to India's handloom traditions, art and culture. Saris from Madhya Pradesh's Maheshwar and Chanderi regions have also been showcased at the venue. Aditi Srivasta's report for DD India, Indore.
An External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on an official visit to Bulgaria, met prominent Bulgarians in the capital city Sofia on Wednesday. During the interaction, he held a productive exchange of ideas on strengthening bilateral ties with a focus on economic cooperation, academic collaboration, cultural exchanges, mobility and enhancing people-to-people connections between India and Bulgaria. And the Ministry of External Affairs has shared a video showcasing a landmark achievement of India's G20 presidency, successfully inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of the G20. Reaffirming India's commitment to a more inclusive and equitable global order under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership.
सबका साथ की भावना से ही भारत ने प्रस्ताव रखा था कि अफ्रीकन यूनियन को G20 की स्थायी सदस्यता दी जाए। मैं अफ्रीकन यूनियन के अध्यक्ष को G20 के स्थायी सदस्य के रूप में अपना स्थान ग्रहण करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
All right, sports now. We'll start with football. The FIFA World Cup 2026 will begin on Thursday night, marking the start of the mega edition of football's biggest tournament. The opening match will be played between host Mexico and South Africa at the Mexico City Stadium. This World Cup will feature 48 teams and a total of 104 matches hosted across 3 countries. The United States, Canada and Mexico teams are divided into 12 groups of 4. The top 2 teams from each group, along with the 8 best third-place teams, will move to the round of 32. From there, the tournament will follow a knockout format until the finals, which will be played at the New Jersey Stadium in New York. An England football team continues its FIFA World Cup preparations with a friendly against Costa Rica on Wednesday before starting its campaign against Croatia on June 17 in Dallas. The team is training in Florida and recently beat New Zealand 1-0 in Tampa, with Harry Kane scoring the winning goal. England manager Thomas Tuchel says the squad has a strong depth and several players are competing for starting spots. He says Jude Bellingham faces tough competition for a place in the starting 11 as other midfielders are also in contention. Bellingham played only 4 qualifying matches, while Morgan Rogers featured in all 8, highlighting the selection challenge. Tuchel stresses flexibility in his squad, saying many players can start or impact games from the bench. He confirms Declan Rice will serve as vice-captain during the World Cup. All right, let's move on to our top story now, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi becomes India's longest continuously serving elected Prime Minister, and will go across to Ahmedabad, where DD India's Meghna Dev joins us live. Hi Meghna, Prime Minister Modi has become India's longest continuously serving elected Prime Minister, completing 4,399 days in office. Tell us what makes this milestone historically significant in India's democratic journey.
Obviously, Abhishek, when we actually see today the kind of congratulatory messages that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has received, not only from the country, from the citizens, from different ministers and stakeholders, but also from his counterparts worldwide, we do see that his popularity has no boundaries. Besides that, we clearly see that everybody has been mentioning that for serving this long, there needs to be an approval of the citizens, and clearly Prime Minister has time and again proved that the citizens approve of him and like his leadership, like his vision. That is the reason he's still there, and his vision is getting carried on. Besides that, when we're specifically talking, we were just talking about the diplomatic part. We see that specifically talking about the diplomatic outreach, we do see that passport issuance and documents, attestation of these documents has now become a seamless process. We see that there has been creation of portals where grievances can be answered and grievances and feedbacks can be addressed. We also see that full support has been provided to Indians abroad, and there is something called the Indian Community Welfare Fund. The use of that has also been expanded. Besides, we see that effectively India has been able to respond to situations of crisis, be it evacuations in Ukraine, in Israel, in Afghanistan, or for that matter in Sudan. Time and again India has proved that it is there for its citizens in time of crisis. Besides, obviously, last 12 years, the biggest thing for the Indian workforce to become part of the global workforce has been 21 mobility partnerships with other countries, which has enabled the Indian workforce to join the global workforce. And besides that, obviously, with number of FTAs that have been signed time and again, we saw one of the biggest FTAs this year was the India-EU FTA. We see trade agreements with UAE, with Australia, with New Zealand, with Mauritius, number of countries, with UK. That's the reason that Indian businesses are getting more exposure to global markets. So this is one of those things that we see that how India's outreach has been globally. I'm reporting from Ahmedabad, from Gujarat. Abhishek, it is definitely very important to mention that because Gujarat has been Prime Minister Narendra Modi's start or his ground to begin with his public life, with his political journey. From 2001, since he became the Chief Minister here in Gujarat, Gujarat has never looked back. Be it the devastating earthquake of Kutch and the revival after that, or be it the network of canals of the Narmada River that was created across Gujarat so that water could reach everywhere. Be it the Jyoti Gram Yojana in Gujarat for electrification, or be it the vibrant Gujarat Global Summit, which is an example, or we can see a blueprint for every region to follow, that how a regional business summit can gain global prominence. So these are some of the initiatives that Prime Minister Narendra Modi took in Gujarat as the Chief Minister, which actually, and the kind of vision he actually took to the center. And when before even Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath in 2014, the Gujarat model was the most popular thing that was spoken about. So clearly, a lot of things that is, that the vision that people are seeing today is obviously the roots are here, in Gujarat, where a boy from Vadnagar rose to such a level that now the world knows him as a global leader. Besides, what we also see currently in Gujarat, the semiconductor sector is thriving. We saw Micron, we saw Tata, we saw Kainis, a number of companies setting up ATMP facilities, fab facilities in Sanand. A lot of things are happening because semiconductor industry is something that is going to drive the future. Be it AI, be it defense, be it satellites, be it medical. A lot of things are now going to be driven by, have been driven and going to be driven by semiconductors. And when we see South Korea, Japan, USA, Taiwan, these are the countries which are pioneers and dominating this industry. But when there is a kind of a global tension or a geopolitical tension that arises, this becomes a disadvantage for India. This becomes disadvantage for other parts of the world because supply chains are disrupted. So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi talks about Atmanirbharta, India is moving forward with the Semiconductor Mission 2.0 and a provision of about 1,000 crores. So that there is more manufacturing that happens of semiconductors in India. There are more design incentives for semiconductors in India. And there's also a skilled workforce that is being prepared to handle this massive roadmap that we have, because we saw the Niti Aayog laid out a roadmap recently for the future of semiconductors. And that actually says that by 2035, the semiconductor industry is going to be somewhere around 120 to 150 billion US dollars. So that clearly speaks volumes of where the vision is going. And when we're looking back to these 12 years, it's nothing so short of multi-dimensional development, which, we are seeing currently on social media. People are talking about their specific sectors where they have seen growth. But not only that, we are talking about infrastructure, economy, and much more, where ease of doing business has improved, electronics manufacturing has improved. Now, when it was earlier, there was a time where hardly a few smartphones that we used to carry were manufactured in India. But today, the maximum smartphones that we are using are manufactured in India. So that's the change that has been created. Not only that, we're talking about, stronger sectors, bigger sectors, hardcore sectors. But let's not forget what, the Prime Minister has done for a global outreach as well as a domestic outreach of India's soft power. Be it, this month itself we are going to see the International Day of Yoga, and we will be seeing how the world celebrates it now, how the world embraces Ayush for that matter. We also did see that how a Kashi Vishwanath temple corridor was created, the Mahakal corridor was created, or the Somnath temple, the whole area was developed in such a manner that it is now becoming a very important spot for spiritual or spiritual tourism for that matter. So when we actually see that not only India's hard, important subjects, STEM, or be it technology, be it economy, but also soft power is something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been able to promote, not only in India, but also abroad, because when we see that on his visits, he ensures that he gives some handloom, some handicraft, or some gifts to his counterparts, which carries the essence of India. So this is also one of those important aspects that we have seen in the past 12 years changing. Earlier, we used to talk about all diplomatic events taking place only in Delhi. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shown the world that India is not just New Delhi. There are so many places that many major events are taking place, which earlier used to take place only in New Delhi. So these are the things that, the mindset has changed. A lot of things have changed in the past few years, and the perception that politics or elections cannot be fought on developmental agenda has also clearly changed. It changed in Gujarat, and it has now also changed as Prime Minister Narendra Modi took oath in 2014. It has changed on the national level as well. Because earlier people used to think that development is something that cannot be related to politics or to get votes. But the whole mindset has changed. Now, elections are being fought on political agenda, which was earlier being fought here in Gujarat as well. So clearly, a very important milestone, not only a milestone, but an important journey, which is continuing, but clearly a very big vision that also lies ahead as we see, because the 12 years is an example of how much has happened, and this actually paints a picture of how bigger things are waiting for us.
Absolutely. You're reporting from Ahmedabad, Gujarat, a place which has been closely associated with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's political journey. We'll talk about the reactions also. What are Ahmedabad people saying? You must have spoken to them. But over these 4,399 days, Meghna, India has witnessed major initiatives like you also mentioned, infrastructure, digital governance, welfare, foreign policy too. And these initiatives, Meghna, have had, in fact, great impact in the last decade or so under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership.
Absolutely, Abhishek. And not only that, see, there's this generation of millennials, and then there's this generation of Gen Z. Both of them have very largely seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership very close. And they have, just because of social media, they have been able to follow it very close and very personally. Everybody has something to say today, because we see on social media, be it on Instagram, be it on X, be it on Facebook, everybody is posting some kind of connection that they have, had with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in terms of, the sector-specific decisions that have been taken. Today also, while we celebrate, we saw this cabinet meeting that happened. We saw that, not only for this, but for Ahmedabad, there was this metro phase 2A that was approved. So a lot of developmental aspects is something that is simultaneously being carried out. Specifically, we see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reach out to the youngsters has been something very important. Because when I say millennials and Gen Z, Prime Minister Narendra Modi we had seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi speak to, Gen Z in terms of these gaming, the gaming community. He spoken time and again to students on Pariksha Pe Charcha. Or in his Mann Ki Baat, he always ensures that he reaches out to the youngsters, he inspires them. So a lot of things have definitely impressed the Gen Z or the millennials, because they are the ones who are going to take it forward, and they are the ones who have very closely watched Prime Minister Narendra Modi's political journey. Besides, what we also see that be it in the sports arena, be it in the digital arena, be it in the handloom, handicraft sector, a lot of changes have happened. We see now the sports infrastructure has improved leaps and bounds. We see the Narendra Modi Stadium here, which is the world's largest cricket stadium. Be it for tourism, a lot of areas have been developed properly, and also connectivity has been provided so that not only development of tourist spots, but also connectivity becomes seamless so that they can bring in more tourists. India's tourism, outbound and inbound tourism, has constantly been increasing. We also do see specifically a lot of push initially since Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister in 2014. A lot of emphasis had been given to Startup India. Now today we have more than 2 lakh recognized startups, many unicorns, and they are creating over 20-25 lakh direct jobs and so many indirect jobs. MSMEs was something that has been, hand-holding of these MSMEs, ease of doing business for MSMEs, ease of doing business for women-led MSMEs. A lot of these things have also been taken care of. So it's not that only the big bulls or the big corporates have been given importance to generate more employment, but every region has been given importance so that they can create employment in their own manner. So these are some aspects that everybody has been given equal opportunity. We are seeing so many startups and so many women-led startups here in Gujarat as well in different sectors. Not only this, homemade snacks and these things from Gujarat have gone to a global level. So these are some of the aspects that have been taken care of, which are actually impacting the people on the grassroots level. So when we're talking about this whole 12-year journey, we definitely have to see, as I earlier said, multi-dimensional development is something that has happened, and that is the reason today we see on social media people are talking about different aspects of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's journey, where he has taken specific policy decisions or specific initiatives that have helped people improve their lifestyle, improve their living. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi has not only done many things on policy level, but he has also done a lot of things on outreach level in terms of creating, for example, Ujjwala Yojana, or be it making toilets, or be it the sanitation drive that Prime Minister Narendra Modi took charge of. So many things that have created a change in mindset of the people. People earlier used to think that these are things that a prime minister will not be talking about. But he didn't hesitate in talking about important things that impact day-to-day life of a common man. So these are aspects when we see that he has touched the grassroots, because he is a man who has risen from grassroots, a very small place in Gujarat from Vadnagar. So he has, risen from there to a global stage. So he knows the problems of the grassroots, he addresses them, and he also sees that what important things has to be done on the global outreach level so that he can connect both of them, and it will be a win-win situation for all. So, and especially this is clearly reflected in the FTAs that India has done in the past few years with many countries to ensure that the FTAs have been very open, very balanced, which have been able to, ensure that our farmers, dairy products, our agriculture produce, and a lot of things. Not only that, Ayush products are also getting a lot of prominence, outside. So, these things clearly are impacting people on the grassroots level, and that is what this celebration, in fact, is all about. And this is the reason that people today are, actually speaking up for what they have been liking on this multidimensional development that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has taken ahead for all these 12 years.
Yes, a lot of work is being done at the grassroots level. Meghna, you're right in pointing out that a lot of work is being done in sports also. Commonwealth Games, India will be hosting in 2030, and that will be held in Gujarat. It will be in Ahmedabad, Surat, Nagar, different places. I had also visited Ahmedabad a few days ago, and work is being done. A lot of work is being done as far as the stadiums are concerned. Narendra Modi Stadium, you mentioned about that. There's Vijay Bharat Academy also, Sports Academy, Sardar Vallabhbhai Sports Complex also. A lot of work is being done. But Meghna, how is this achievement being viewed in Gujarat, particularly in Ahmedabad, which has been, like I said, closely associated with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's political journey?
Abhishek, for Gujaratis, for that matter, or for people from Gujarat, it is not just a celebration of, him being the longest serving Prime Minister. To be honest, it is a celebration for them that, our child or the son of our land has been able to achieve so much. So it is not only in terms of these numbers that longest serving Prime Minister, he has served for so many days, but for Gujarat, this journey had begun so much more earlier. And for Gujarat, it is more of an emotional journey. Looking at Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who had told us that he used to come to this temple to worship, he used to go to this temple, he used to inspect the roads, he used to come around, always talk to people about their issues. And not only that, people say that this riverfront that they are seeing at this moment, and the revival of the Sabarmati River for that matter, has been done by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So many religious places have been properly built. The infrastructure around these religious places have been properly built. Connectivity has been taken care of. Not only that, people also tell us that how he used to, travel to so many places to meet people, to get to know their issues, and also understand how, what is the USP of a place, what can they export, what business that these people can do. When we actually see, Kutch is one of the classic examples of how a place can be revived after such a devastating earthquake that happened in Kutch. There was nothing left. And today we see for 4 to 5 months in the winter, Kutch is thriving. There is all pomp and show. People come to visit the white desert in full moonlight, and not only Indian tourists, but so many tourists from other countries specifically visit Kutch during the winters, during Ranotsav. So this is something that he created. It was his vision. Now Kutch does not have to, doesn't need any kind of support. It is, it has become self-resilient in terms of business, in terms of economy, and in terms of, also employing people in their own community. So these are some of the things that have touched people there. There are so many homestays there already. There are so many tent cities and a lot of things that have been created. So that is the reason, and that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision then. We talk about Vibrant Gujarat. We see that Vibrant Gujarat started from a very small parking lot in Science City, and other events, the consecutive years took place in a town hall, a small space where few delegates were invited. But this was consistently carried on, and that is how people now in the business community in India or in the world wait for the Vibrant Gujarat Summit to happen, so that they can come in, they can know about imports, exports, they can know about manufacturing, they can know about products, and a lot more. So many MOUs are signed, many MOUs of joint manufacturing or R&D, and a lot of things are signed and they are being carried on. So this is one of, and that was also the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi then. So Khel Mahakumbh, which is one of the biggest sporting events in Gujarat, did begin when Prime Minister Narendra Modi took that initiative as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. He also promoted sports in such a large scale that Khel Mahakumbh is one of the biggest sporting events in Gujarat state. We also do see that today we see the Statue of Unity, Narmada, a tribal area, Kevadia, which is now known as Ekta Nagar. It is a tribal area. Now it has become a tourist hotspot. Round the year, a massive footfall at the Statue of Unity. People come in, and not only that, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ensured that there is a plan to get a railway station there so that people have connectivity. The reason that they can easily be able to come there. So definitely a lot of initiatives that have impacted the citizens here, and that have been able to impact how people view it. So this is something that we can clearly say that his vision that has been able to give long-term results. This is something that has Gujarat specifically, as you asked, Gujarat specifically views this from that prism, that somebody from our land has been able to achieve so much. A boy from Vadnagar has been able to achieve so much and is doing so much for the country. When we used to see that when Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mother was alive, and he used to visit her, amidst his busy schedule, he used to take out some half an hour or an hour to ensure that he goes and visits his mother. At that time also, she always used to, the kind of bonding that we had seen, him being extremely busy, but still he used to make sure. So that kind of bond is also that, that has inspired people. So a lot of things that from his personality, from his vision, and from his, we can say, from his skills of that he has learned in his public life, has been able to inspire a lot of people, not only in India, but also whenever he travels domestically, is something that is the most talked about everywhere.
Yes, landmark achievement, and beyond the political significance, this achievement indicates about, in fact, the stability and continuity of governance in the world's largest democracy. We'll leave it at that. Thank you for inputs, Meghna. Moving on, wildlife is not just about forests, animals or biodiversity. It is about survival, balance and the future of humanity itself. From the roar of the tiger to the flight of the Amar falcon, from the mangroves of Sundarbans to the deserts of Rajasthan, India's wildlife conservation journey has witnessed a historic transformation in the last 12 years under DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya with this report.